Not very long ago, there lived a girl called Red, with her brother, Chad, and her mother, in a small house in a very small town situated near a dense forest. Notwithstanding the fact that her father had gone missing when she was still a baby, and therefore she hardly remembered anything about him except what he had looked like. She was a happy girl who loved to spend her days helping others. To all those who knew her, it was no great mystery why she had such a strange name, for she had a head of bright auburn hair that really looked quite red. In fact, the winter she was born, her father had given her a bright red poncho, which she had preserved safely as the only gift she had ever had from her father, who had gone missing shortly thereafter. One winter morning, Red's mother called her into the kitchen and handing her a basket, which contained some fresh fruits, a jar of homemade cookies and some bread, asked her to go and visit her ailing grandmother, who lived alone in a small house in another small town, situated on the other side of the forest. "Start early, keep to the main road, and come back while there's still daylight," her mother cautioned her. For popular belief had it that the forest was the home of the big bad wolf, who prowled the length and breadth of it by day and by night, carrying people away in his ever-hungry jaws to their death. So Red put on the red muffler and gloves that her mother had woven for her the previous winter, as well as her red coat and a matching pair of boots, took the basket, and getting on her bike, went off, merry as a lark. As she paddled away through the forest as fast as she couldn't help gaping in surprise at her surroundings. The snow was frequently cleared away in her town to keep the roads and lanes passable. In contrast, nature was at her wildest and most beautiful here. The trees and the ground were covered in snow as far as the eye could see. There were perks to there being nobody around to clear away the snow in the forest, she thought to herself, smiling. She got down from her bike and, taking out her cell phone from her coat pocket, started shooting a video of her surroundings. She was thus employed when she first heard the sound. It was very faint, that of a twig breaking under some unseen weight, and she stood still for a few moments, waiting for it to be repeated and wondering whether her imagination was playing tricks with her. But soon her ears happened to make out the sound of a strange, heavy breathing that seemed to come from all directions at once. So losing no time, she got on her bike and paddled away for dear life. Now it really was the big bad wolf whose breathing Red had heard. He was trying to be discreet while following her through the dense undergrowth, awaiting the proper chance to pounce on her. But his advancing age and ever-expanding body made him grow heavier with time. The magic of the forest was such that every time he killed, he grew physically, and so did the forest, making it impossible for him to move with his former stealth. He was so hungry, he hadn't killed anybody in a long, long time, for nobody ever came this way these days. Not since that puny man so many years ago, the one who had tried to kill him, and now his prey had just been warned of his presence and had fled. It made him so angry that he wanted to tear the trees up by their roots, every last one of them. Yet he knew that anger was useless, and so focused on his cunning instead. Soon he had a plan to lure his prey back to him. When Red reached her grandmother's house, quite out of breath, she knocked on the door and, finding it open, went inside, expecting to find the old lady resting in her chair by the fireplace. But though she looked up and down the house, she couldn't find her anywhere. So she went round to the backyard where all the firewood was stored, and it was here that she saw the crooked letters, written in blood on the door, which read, "Granny is waiting in the forest, little girl." The blood was fresh, and drops of it could be seen leading away from the house towards the forest. Now, in a like situation, any other girl would have tried to save her own life, but Red loved her grandmother too much to lose her to Big Bad Wolf. So she grabbed the sturdiest shovel that she could find and followed the trail of blood to the wolf's lair. Here she found him waiting for her, a huge gray hairy presence that seemed to fill the forest. In front of him, clumsily laid across the huge stump of an oak tree, was her grandmother, dead but still bleeding from her neck where the wolf had sunk his teeth in while carrying her away. "Don't you worry, little girl. She doesn't feel pain anymore. As for you, don't grieve, for you are just about to join her," said the wolf, and crouching, leapt towards Red. At that very moment, without even pausing to think, Red, who had excellent reflexes, pointed the shovel at the wolf's throat and thrust it up at him just